in town.
Happy holidays, everyone. Welcome back to Podcast The Sequel, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the continued. I'm Marissa.
I'm Manira.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Ryan.
And to start off the holiday season, as well as celebrate the 30th anniversary of the original, The Santa Claus, today we're going to be talking about The Santa Claus 2. But before we get into the second one, let's hear some thoughts on the first one. I don't know if you guys were really involved with The Santa Claus growing up. I feel like it came out the year
I was born.
Not to call you out on age, but
That's fine. I just watched it for the first time this week. Both movies. I did not grow up watching it. So for me watching it, I went in it very blind. Like Joseph was like, he explained like the premise of what the movie is to me. And then he's like, but there's more. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you'll see when you watch it. And I was like, okay, fine. So the first 30 minutes of the movie happened. I was like, oh, this is good. Movie's over. And then the second half happens. I was like, there's so much going on in this movie. I feel like for me, like I'm very tossed up with how I feel about this movie. As an adult watching it, I feel like I didn't get the sense to enjoy it as a kid. Like a lot of people who grew up watching it probably loved it. Like I know you love it because you grew up watching it. I think like for me as an adult watching it, I see the appeal to it, but I could go without like half the movie. Like the first half of the movie, I loved. The second half, I didn't really care for the manhunt and the child abduction story part that's going on.
The kidnapping.
Yeah, I was like, I really didn't care for it.
There's a dark movie there.
There
they
is.
go down the path of a guy that's like thinks he's Santa,
like a horror movie
kidnaps
kind of
his son. He's not actually Santa.
It's got to be a thing.
That could be a good movie.
Yeah, it's got to be like a thing.
I'm glad you brought it up. So the one fun fact I found out about this movie is that originally this movie was supposed to have a darker premise. Yes. Originally, Scott Calvin was supposed to shoot Santa.
Yeah.
And become Santa Claus after he shoots Santa down.
That was a robber.
So dark,
right? And then they scrapped.
There's a man on your roof.
Shoot him.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like he did like, hey, what are you doing? And he falls off. Like, I mean and like, would that kill him?
I mean, it was the second story. If you landed wrong.
Yeah, but he landed in snow. I don't know.
I'm very hard sometimes.
I know, but I just question. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's true. Minnie's never been to the snow.
That's true. No.
So she wouldn't know.
Sand. It's everywhere.
That's so coarse.
Save that for the other movies. I don't know. I feel like growing up with this movie, I feel like I remember it being like in my top 20, like at least top 20 Christmas movies of all time. And going back and rewatching it again this year and like having more of like a, I guess, critical eye of it, if you will. It's really just, there's so many problems I have with it. And I know we've gone and like talked about how movies, like you kind of have to throw like this sense of reality out the door, right? Especially when you're talking about like Santa Claus, right? Like there's no sense of reality. There's obviously like a mystical, magical whimsy to this movie, which you can appreciate, especially as a child. But I feel like there's definitely things when they're kind of going back and forth between like the Santa world and then the real world. In the real world, I'm like, in what life is this happening? Or like, how is this okay kind of thing?
I could see that. Yeah. Because like there's a lot of issues in this film that I feel like. But like we brought up, it's a movie about Santa being real. So you're supposed to disconnect it, but then I have questions though. Still,
we have so many questions about the theory.
Like, what are the rules?
Realm.
What are like? When does he know? Like, what are the steps to him becoming Santa? Because it just happens. And there's nobody there to be like, well, this is gonna happen. That's gonna happen. The only thing he finds out is like, oh, we'll send you the list, and you'll just know what to do. Yeah. And he does eventually just become fully Santa Claus. But I would love to, like a little bit more fleshed out, more details.
I kind of like that they did that though, because then he ends up being. Like he kind of ends up feeling like it's a feeling, you know? And I feel like that's kind of what Christmas is sometimes. Like I feel like it's caught between like a feeling as well as like a marketing scam, right? Like that's what Christmas is. Like if you take out all like the buying of the toys and like merchandise and decorating, which is more purchasing, like what really is Christmas? I mean, I know what it is, but like, yes, I know what it is. You know, but like for these, well, I know, but like I'm talking about like this day and age. Like there's not a whole lot of people who celebrate Christmas for the sake of why Christmas is, more so than like, you know, the actual buying of presents and like decorating your tree kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that are very adult about this movie that are inappropriate. Like even from like the first 5 minutes where they're at the Christmas party and he's like, you know, Johnson's secretary is sitting on his lap, and it's like, okay, you have like, first off, bad sign, adultery, like terrible.
Well, it is.
And then my
90s.
question, which I don't know if you guys know, because maybe I just missed it, but like how did like Neil and the mom get together? Like was he her psychiatrist for the divorce, and then that's how they got together? Because that's so terrible.
They never addressed how they got together, how Neil and whatever her name is got together.
No, I can't remember her name.
I would like to say it was Laura.
That sounds right.
Let's call her Laura.
We're calling her Laura.
I'm calling her Laura. I don't think they ever addressed how they got together, but I think I wanted them to address
The frantic typing.
I know,
Right.
just like, what is her name?
what happened.
Oh no.
Her name is Laura.
Good call.
I think I wanted them to address like what led to their divorce too. Was he?
I
'cause
feel
think-
I
like
think it just worked so
no,
well.
Yeah, 'cause
I
you
feel like
brought
they
up a-
focus so much on the divorce though, like, and that's one of my biggest like pet peeves. But I'll let you finish your point.
I like the one when we were watching it. Joseph brought up like a good point that I wrote it down, was that it literally felt like a stereotypical like 90s movie. You have your busy parent, which I agree with you.
The
I think
divorced dad doesn't have enough time for the
divorced dad
kid.
doesn't have
Yeah.
enough time for
Mhm.
the kid, and then a life-changing event happens, and
That
then
makes
he becomes
yeah.
a great parent.
Yeah, it's very tropey.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've seen it in Liar Liar. There's multiple movies that do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it was very caught up to when like there's like certain scenes, and I feel like the second one kind of goes into like in the like towards the end of the 90s, early 2000s too. You had like your spy and like sports movies kind of things. This one and I don't know if it's just because like I come from like divorced parents kind of situation, but there's just so many things I have wrong with like the communication and like all of the name kind of calling stuff, like even like the kid, like this the heartbreaking parts for me are the things that the little boy says, which are just like so like sad and depressing. Like I wrote down 2 of his lines, and the first one I have is, how come you guys always have to fight, which is like the saddest like number one thing that like kids say
Felt
with their
that.
divorce. Yeah, you feel it. And then the saddest one that I was like, oh, it was just, how come everything I want to do is stupid?
Yeah.
And I just feel like as like a, I don't know, child of divorce, like my parents were, honestly, like props to my parents. I feel like their divorce for me as a child was like super simple, not to be like too personal, but like they made it so easy for me when I'm sure it wasn't so easy for them. And I just think that like them not fighting in front of me, them not blaming me, them not doing this like bicker dance in front of me was just great. So I just feel like having all of that happen in front of this kid, like, of course he's going to be on the naughty list in the second movie. Like his
Yeah.
parents are, you know, basically doing this shit in front of him.
Yeah.
I know you brought up the idea of like you didn't like the name calling.
Yes.
I actually didn't have a problem with it because I thought everything that Scott called Neil was very valid and well deserving, because I fucking hated Neil.
I'm not a huge fan of Neil either, but I feel like if you think about it, like just from like Neil's perspective, like unless there was a whole situation where like Neil cheated on like, you know, the wife with on or
If
the
Laura
wife,
cheated
yeah, whatever, however that works. Like is Neil really a bad dude?
Yes.
Technical difficulty. Look at it from Neil's perspective. Like, I mean, is he really? I don't know. It's kind of like I think we've talked about it before. The Titanic mentality of just like,
Yeah.
is Billy Zane's character really that bad? I mean, yes, the murder and the child thing, yes, is bad. But I mean, in the perspective of he's with this woman who has this kid. He is a therapist. He's trying to do what every sane person, quote unquote, would do in the terms of like, well, I mean, like, if somebody came up to you and was like, yeah, I believe in Santa, like, we all know Santa's not real. So, like,
But he's a kid.
yes, no, I
He's a
no,
kid.
yeah, I disagree. Well, that and I disagree with him telling somebody else's kid that Santa's
Yeah.
not real. That's definitely a no-no.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, in terms of being like a bad dude, I think he's just trying to protect his family. Like, he's definitely not the greatest, but like, I don't think he's the greatest. I don't think he's the worst. I think he's just trying to do what he thinks is best.
I put it on here. I put that Neil treats Charlie like him believing in Santa is the equivalent of Charlie saying like he is the next Messiah or something. Like I feel like that's how he treats him believing in Santa Claus. And the reason why Neil does not believe in Santa Claus because he didn't get a stupid wiener whistle.
Weenie whistle.
Yeah, at 3.
You can buy it on Amazon for $15.
Who wanted Did you want a whistle at 3 years old?
Well, I don't know.
At 3, yeah, at 3 maybe.
A wiener
But that's
shaped
what made you
whistle.
stop believing in Santa because you didn't get a weenie whistle. That's
Yeah,
and that's so like use your rest
She
of your
didn't-
life to be like, yeah, Santa's not a real kid. It's over.
I mean, she didn't get a mystery date, and
Mystery date
She was
makes
over
more
it.
sense, but she also
but she's
said,
also not.
how
the,
does mystery date make
But-
more
No,
sense?
we're
but
arguing
she
with
said
Monty.
she stopped believing in Santa at 8 years old, the same age as Charlie. He was 3.
Oh yeah, the 3 is a little hard to believe, but
No, but even then, like she's not the one that told him. That
She's not
Santa's
the one who
real.
told
It was
him.
Neil,
Neil took
went
it
out of
upon
his way
himself
to
to
tell
tell
him. It's like just because you have a negative holiday mindset doesn't mean you have to ruin it for somebody else, even if
Yeah.
they believe in that.
I think that was my biggest
Yeah.
issue with Neil.
oh yeah, like but I'm saying like outside of that, like at a certain point, like you have to kind of stop believing, correct? So I mean, like
Correct.
it's not the worse for wear kind of situation where, like, yes, maybe he should have gone along with it and kind of like went to the mom and said like, hey, like, you know, this is kind of getting him in trouble at school. Like maybe we should have a conversation with him, like talk to Scott about like sitting him down and explaining the situation instead of just going straight to, well, you know, there's no Santa because obviously it's not your kid, you know, like not your monkeys, not your circus kind of thing. But I think in all reality kind of thing, I think Neil was trying to do the best with like his mentality of like what it was. Like he's trying to make sense of like a realistic situation.
I think my last point on Neil. I think another issue that I had with him is I feel like he didn't treat Charlie like his stepson. I feel like he treated him more like a patient. With
I
the
think
way
he
handled
treats
the-
everybody like a patient though.
Those stupid sweaters. Okay, I'm done.
I was gonna throw it over because
Throw it over to
I
me.
love the
yeah,
actor.
I was gonna say
I love the actor.
Yeah,
oh, Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
I in my notes I put that Neil's sweaters are the star of the movie.
Not Tim Allen?
No,
No, yeah, definitely the sweaters.
definitely his sweaters. And then to go off of your point when you said, how did they meet? I think that he might have been their therapist through the divorce or their couple
therapy.
whatever, because Scott says kind of like a throwaway line. He's like, no, yeah, whatever. And he'll listen to your problems or whatever, and then he'll charge you for it. So I
Oh.
feel like he was their therapist, charging him, and then he's like, I'm gonna fuck your wife now, by the way.
See, and that's a little bad because of like confidentiality
yeah.
and
Or,
yeah,
yeah,
that
patient.
stuff. But because it's never listed, like to me, I'm just like, okay, well, like, is he really that bad of a guy? Like, is he really the villain kind of thing?
No, he's definitely not.
No,
but-
he's not. I don't
Like,
think
I don't know. I'm not saying that he's like right in every regard.
No.
I'm just arguing for the sake of like what he's saying from an adult standpoint totally makes sense. As a kid, you're like, no, he's the villain. He doesn't believe in Santa. How dare you? Like, I totally understand from that perspective. I'm just saying from an adult side, I feel like he's just trying to do what's best. Because even at the end of the movie, like he totally turns around and he's like, no, I believe. Yes, you are
weenie
Santa. You got me
whistle.
the winnie whistle. So I don't know.
Even like the last thing with them was like, you're gonna make a great psychiatrist, kid, and just Charlie being like, oh, I think I'm gonna go into the family business.
And another thing about fucking Charlie, fuck that kid. Because
Yeah.
he hated his dad.
Yeah.
He hated his dad.
Oh, he
and then
hates
the
his dad.
second he turns into Santa, he's like, I fucking love
Done
my dad.
changed his mind.
I
Done
love
changed his
dad.
mind, dude.
I want to hang out with dad all the time.
I felt that though when he went to the dad's house because it seems like he just doesn't have a fun time. So he's just like, this sucks. I don't want to be
Well, if
here.
he's working all the
I'm
time.
having such a better time with Neil and mom, and like I'd rather
Yeah.
just be with them. And dad's gonna like, and then it plays out like Tim Allen's character ruins dinner.
But he tried.
I know he tries,
tried
but
to
then
make
like,
him a
but I
dinner.
think that's the kid at that point is just like he's always trying and failing because he's not giving me what I want, which is what attention. I want to do what I want to do. With the line being like everything I want to do is stupid to you. So he's frustrated. He's a frustrated child. So like he's a douche, but like also if your dad turns into Santa after always being busy, which is why we'll get to the second one, which that's when Charlie annoyed me a bit.
Oh, Charlie's annoying in the second one.
Yeah,
I'm
where
not
he just
worried
like
about the second one.
we'll get into that when we get into because I'm like
Yeah.
really that's your issue. At least he's there before.
Well, yeah, and then to go into that point too, like, you know, as soon as he stops, like he's slowly unbecoming, the desanification process happens, he starts not liking his dad again. Is what I picked up from that.
Oh, in
Like,
the
as soon as
second
he
one?
starts
Yeah.
turning back into just
Yeah, yeah.
Scott
Oh.
Calvin, he's like, man, your dad,
Yeah, he gets
shut
like,
up, Charlie.
Well, in the we'll get in the second
We'll
one.
get to
Yeah,
that.
we'll
We'll
get
get
there.
there.
We'll get there. I know it's 1994.
Mhm.
CGI is not great.
No, we brought that up. Yeah.
Oh, great.
The deers looked fine when they
I
were
think the deers look great.
for that year.
When they were
like
puppets.
when they're
Yeah.
puppets, they looked fine for
Well,
that
that's
year.
fine.
But when like they go
they're
off the
flying
roof,
or-
I'm
oh.
like, but
The-
yeah, there's a rough scene in there where it jumps off the first time, and I'm just like, ugh, God.
Worse than the second one too, which
Yeah.
is funny because it's in the future.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I
You
feel
think
like
there would be better?
No, dude. I feel like it got worse looking too.
Yeah.
The early 2000s CGI was just like.
Oh, I brought this up with Ryan when we were watching both the movies. I think we need to have the discussion about people using the term sport. So
Yeah.
in this movie, two people use sport, and they called it's a name that they
Yes.
called Charlie, and one is obviously Tim Allen's character Scott Calvin, and then
Bernard.
Bernard.
So, and I feel like one of them uses it and it's believable, and the other does not, and it's not believable. The one using it correctly and it sounds natural is Bernard, and the one not using it is Scott Calvin.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's very certain instances, and like I think Ryan brought it up, where it's you have to be of a certain like geographical location, because like I know like in Great Gatsby, like Leo DiCaprio's character uses sport because the character does, and it's just so unnatural. Like I know Joseph, I know you love Leo.
Never said I love Gatsby though.
Nah, it's terrible. Like him using old sport
Yeah.
is just sounds so bad. But Bernard using it like, hey, sport.
No,
like
Bernard,
you're
it
just like, oh
came
yeah.
off better.
Oh,
It's
and
just-
we
yeah.
love Bernard.
Yeah.
Well, I love Bernard.
Loved him in Oppenheimer.
He was an Oppenheimer, and also Harold and Kumar
Goldstein.
Goldstein,
Goldstein.
which we'll also talk about later because there's sequels there too,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
and a Christmas one.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for all of you guys. The idea of like Santa coming down a chimney as a kid did you believe that it would be exactly how it like played out into the movie, where magically opens up and then Santa magically fits in there, or how did it play in your head as a kid? How did Santa fit through a chimney in your head?
I specifically wrote that in my notes as well because my mom told me something very funny. Because growing up, we lived in an apartment for like the first few years before we like moved to a house. Still didn't have a fireplace, but I was like, well, if we don't have a fireplace, like, how's Santa gonna get here? And she was like, he'll just come down the thermostat.
The thermostat.
That shit cracked me up. Like as an adult now, I'm like, damn, that's funny, mom. Yeah, I assume that
That's really funny.
that he would just like.
I
Yeah,
thought
just try
he
to crawl
like
out of that bad boy.
shrunk kind of to size and like just kind of like came through and then like enlarged, I guess.
Yeah, my mom told me he went through the keyhole and then grew. I was just like,
That's
sure.
terrifying.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, dude. So, because your mindset's like, so you can just come in here whenever the hell he wants. I'm like, dude, I'm like,
Better watch out.
He only
you better not cry.
he's got a lockbox code for every house, like just coming in.
Better not fucking pout.
Telling you why.
He knows when you're sleeping, Joseph. I guess you know when we're sleeping because you're Santa.
He knows when you're awake.
There are a lot of nods to Tim Allen being the tool man.
yes. When he puts that kid's tool
Yeah, the
belt
little
on
belt
this, I'm
on.
like, yeah.
And then also the van, whatever, when they
Oh,
first
the guy
take
that's
off.
Yeah.
driving? Yeah, he's in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is originally why they didn't want to cast him in the role. They were looking at Bill Murray. They were looking at
Yeah.
damn it,
Eek.
Chevy Chase. They were looking at him. They even offered him the role, and he was like, "No." Bill Murray declined because he's like, "I already did Scrooge, and I don't want to."
Yeah,
do
I was gonna say
another.
he did Scrooge.
I don't want to do
Chevy
another
Chase
holiday
do a
movie.
Christmas movie too? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, Christmas
Vacation.
Vacation.
They offered it Tom Hanks and Mel Gibson as well, because the producers were they weren't sold on Tim Allen. They're like, he's
Well,
a TV
one of those
star.
would have been
Like,
great. Mel Gibson. I love Christmas.
Oh,
Passion of the Claus.
Love Judy, the little girl elf. Well, I guess she's not a girl; she's a woman, right? She's like
She's like 1,000 something.
she's like
years
some
old.
ungodly amount of years old, and I always love that scene where
Looks great for her age.
yeah he's like, you look great for your age, and she's like, thanks, but I'm seeing somebody in wrapping, and I'm just like, ew. Like,
Yeah.
'cause she's obviously a kid, but like I don't know.
I will say I did appreciate them using children to play elves. I feel like it made more sense watching it than having like a grown ass man playing like an elf like they did in like the movie Elf. Like I feel
Oh,
like
like
it
having-
made more sense
yeah.
to me
Bob Newhart.
having like kids play elves.
Is that who that
I
was?
love Bob Newhart.
An elf?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
I
Papa
mean-
Elf.
Papa Elf, right?
Papa
Yeah.
Elf.
Oh, Papa
Yes.
Elf.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Have you seen Elf?
Yeah.
Okay. I was
The
just
kids
gonna make
worked.
sure.
It was funny because I was reading like that to put Tim Allen like on timeout whenever he would go into like a tirade because he would cuss so much. There's too many kids here for you because you have to go to like a separate room and go through your like a little tirade and tantrums that he was having on set.
He hated that fucking suit.
Yeah.
All right.
It took
He
4 to
did.
5 hours to put on, and he could only be in it for 6 hours due to ventilation issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gave him like rashes and medical issues too.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So then is Tim Allen really like difficult to work with then that we've heard, or
I don't know if he's difficult to work with or if he was just like, this shit's fucking hot and I'm getting.
well no
cranky."
so because I've heard that like he is somewhat not the best to work with.
he goes on
As an
tirades
actor?
and like
Yeah.
when he's done, and he
Yeah.
will continuously just be done. Like we'll get into it with the second one. Like when he doesn't want to do it anymore, he'll threaten to just leave.
Yeah.
And
Well, no,
they-
because like I think of like Jim Carrey with the Grinch with the suit. Like I know it was unbearable
Yeah.
for him, but yet he still like went through it. And I feel like we heard some things, but like I
Well,
don't
Jim
know.
even came out. I was like, I had to work with like a Navy SEAL just to get like through torturous events in life and stuff, just if I could be in that suit.
Yeah.
But I think with Tim Allen, he would make like jokes and rants, and they were it was not appropriate for the children that were on set, and he wouldn't even care. He would just start going somebody up to like shoo him away, just to separate him. And I've heard stuff about him as well. Just like
yeah,
he just
that's what I
has
was like.
his-
I've heard stuff too.
he has his issues there. I don't know if it's as bad as as a Chevy Chase, but like it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Enough. There's enough stories out there where it's like, damn.
It's
like,
probably the coke talking.
I mean, he does love his snow.
He does.
He does love his snow.
I was waiting for.
I was
somebody to
waiting
do
for
it.
so long to be like, where can I throw this shit in?
Dude. Original title for this movie was called Such a Clatter. That was the original working title for the film.
Yeah, I like Santa Claus better.
Budget was $22 million. Box office $190.3 million.
Bless you.
Bless you.
With the cinema score of an A minus.
Really?
Yes, which will be interesting to get into because the second one is wild.
Oh yeah, the second one's
They give it an A+.
rough.
Surprise! Surprise!
Oh my god, we'll get there. Holy shit.
Does anybody else actually have anything? I was gonna say I feel like we should get into the second one by now.
Yeah, I mean Disney took a big gamble going against their normal like we don't hire felons
Oh, because of the
because Tim Allen has a felony record
because of the
Which one?
cocaine.
because of the cocaine. I
Cocaine
believe.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
you
the
guys
one.
are not fucking.
No, that's a
not
real
sorry
thing.
about
There's a
the
mugshot
cocaine?
out there.
Oh no, yeah, no,
Yeah, there's a whole
it was-
thing.
I think it was like in the 80s.
Peter Boyle comes back in both movies. He plays Tim Allen's boss in the first one. He comes back as Father's Time in the second one.
I told you.
It looked like him.
Yes.
I mentioned it, and he's like, "No," and I was like, "Yes."
Oh, I didn't even. I couldn't tell through all the
Yes. Thank you, Joseph.
all the shit. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, we can
Yeah.
jump into 2 if you want, so we can.
Well,
Well,
let's review
we'll
that
rate.
bad
Yeah, I was
boy
like, we'll rate
first.
one, and
Yes.
then we'll go for it.
I forgot that's what we do.
That's how we operate.
You forgot.
I smell like fucking Barney Rubble right now. They just smell like beer.
Did you say you smell like Barney Rubble?
Yeah.
Does Barney Rubble smell like beer?
Barney Rubble?
Is that a known thing?
Yeah.
From the Flintstones?
Yes. That was a joke. It was.
Oh,
No, wait. Barney's last name is Rubble on The Simpsons.
Isn't it not?
I thought Barney Rubble is from the Flintstones.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was.
Is
Yeah,
it
well,
that
I
too?
was like,
Oh,
wait a minute.
Shit, I didn't even think. I just know him as Barney.
It's Barney something.
Rumble.
There you go.
Barney
Oh,
Rubble.
I
You
was
were
like,
close.
that's why I was like,
Huh?
from the Flintstones. I was like, is that a thing?
In my mind, it went to Barney the purple whatever dinosaur, and then Barney Stinson. I was like, "Are you making a How I Met Your Mother joke?" Because I'm pretty sure he always.
I like
smells
that we went
that.
straight Flintstones. We were like there. That was very AG of us. Yikes. Scores?
So my review of this movie. It's not my go. It would never be my go-to like holiday Christmas movie to watch. I feel like there's so many other greater Christmas movies that I want to watch as an adult. I don't even think this cracks like the top 20 for me. I think the movie is silly. It has its entertaining moments. I think Tim Allen was probably the best part of the movie for me. I also found it very disturbing how the character of like Santa Claus just forces itself upon Tim Allen's character. I was like, it's very disturbing that it just basically takes over his life. And then again, like I only enjoyed like the first half of the movie. I didn't really care for the second half. I think because of that, I will probably give this movie a 2.5 2.5 out of 5 poppies for me.
Respectable amount.
I thought it was good, but could be better.
Yeah.
Santa Claus?
Yeah, I'm at a 3.5 just because of it's just
Ooh.
nostalgic to me. I just remember always watching it, especially growing up. It's funny, Tim Allen's just like in his prime. Like 94, Tim Allen had the #1 movie in the box office, America's #1 TV show, and the #1 book in the New York bestsellers selection. So it's like he was killing in 94. I think he's funny in it.
That was all before Toy Story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was
Wild.
prime Tim Allen. So it's funny. I now watching it older, certain questions I have, I can't take myself out of being like, yeah, it's a movie about Santa Claus. I probably shouldn't be asking these questions anyways, but I still do. I kind of wish some of the stuff was a little bit fleshed out here and there, but I still enjoy it. Every Christmas here and there, I'll put it on. I love it. It's a good time. But yeah, 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, respectable. Yeah, certain things, again, the questions, the CGI, it's not really acting. I feel like the acting is pretty okay in this.
I thought you hated Charlie.
Not his acting. I didn't like him as like a character. Like he's supposed to be like that.
He's a kid.
Yeah, but I had like the problems that I had, like, oh, you only like me now because I'm fucking Santa Claus. You hated being there before. But granted, why would you want to spend time at your dad's house if he doesn't take the time to make it like also your house? Like it's a house that's for a single dad.
Well, and especially too for like a young boy, like usually like their dad is like their hero and they want to spend the most time with them. So I don't know.
Yeah. And then I also liked, the Denny's scene where they're all...
The real candle in the Denny's.
Yeah, that was wild too. Just all the other single dads with their kids just like, oh, hey, burnt the turkey. And
We'll have
he has
chocolate
the
milk.
fucking
We're out of chocolate
bandage.
milk.
Yeah. Regular milk's fine.
You're out of
Charlie.
chocolate milk, can't get some hot fudge and just, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm at a 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think as it goes on, my rating's going to probably go.
Well,
drop
yeah,
from
I mean,
there,
as most
if I recall correctly.
would do.
Yes.
As much as I find this in like my top 20 of Christmassy movies, just rating it like now going back, especially like really, like I said, kind of going in with like more of a critical view of it, I feel like I kind of have to side with Mooney and do like the 2.5 just based on like, I do have questions. I do have issues with a lot of the characters. I feel like this movie, even I'm kind of not sure who it's for. I feel like they're kind of making it for adults and they're kind of making it for kids. And like, that's great because, you like a well-rounded movie for everybody. But I feel like there's sometimes where it just gets so dark that you're like, okay, this is too dark for a kid's movie and for kids. And it's not playful enough to be kid-like, but it has still those like dirty jokes for adults kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I feel very like torn between like, okay, they kind of cross the line a few times, but as an adult, like those jokes are hilarious to me. Like if I saw this in like any other maybe like Christmassy, like darker comedy-esque kind of movie. But I mean, like, I guess like kids would from a kid point of view, like I feel like they would have a lot more questions of like, what's going on with, why is he making a joke about the secretary on the lap kind of thing? And then there it opens that whole can of worms. Plus, like, is this really for kids? Because then it kind of begs the question to the kid of like, is Santa real? So at what age are you supposed to show this to your kid if it is for kids? Because at what age, is the right age where you stop believing in Santa?
Like, why is Daddy Santa?
Yeah, and then and then it also like, Dad, are you Santa? And then like, there's just so many questions that I feel like if you did show this to a kid, is it really appropriate for them? And then if it's not for a kid, then like, is it too whimsical for an adult? So it's just like a kind of a weird mesh. But yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, like nostalgic, I'm kind of with Joseph on like the nostalgia. I grew up with it. So that's what kind of keeps me watching it more and more.
That's where I'm at 3.5. I could probably degrade it more and put it down, but I'm like, it's just every time I watch it,
I feel like just, I don't know. When Mooney said 2.5, like I was kind of thinking 3, but I feel like that's just like, it's a little too high for me. So I'm gonna stick with her.
And the adult thing too, there's
2.5.
something that you can only find in like the original copies of the film. There was a 1-800-SPANK ME.
Yeah.
That you can no longer
See,
find
like
in
I
any
said,
of
like
the-
there's just like those lines that are just a little, they're like, and then once now that we've all rated it, like once you get into the second one, so much whimsy, like no, like not like I feel like
all.
even a glimpse of adult humor at all. Like it kind of cut that out entirely, and I don't know if there was a reason for that.
Maybe.
But yeah, I just definitely see So the second one, the
Santa
Santa
Claus
Claus
2.
2, or as we like to call it, the Mrs. Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was the title in the UK. That's how
The
it
Mrs.
released.
Claus?
Yeah, it was
Mrs.
supposed to
Claus.
be this. It was supposed to be titled originally Santa Claus 2: The Escape Clause, which I feel like they did use for the next one. I read somewhere because the original title was going to be Santa Claus 2: The Escape Clause.
That might
Look that
be
up.
right. The third,
not sure.
The third one's the one with
Hold
Steve
on,
Martin.
I got
Yeah.
yeah. The third one is the Santa Claus 3: The Escape.
Yeah, that
Clause.
was
Yeah,
the original
okay.
one for the second one, but then they said it was going to be too long, so they
It's
told
too
Santa
many-
Claus 2.
It's
Yeah.
too
many
many
claws.
clauses
Yeah.
in a
It's a
title.
lot of clauses.
Yeah.
Claus and a Claus.
Well, then and then the TV show now, the Santa Clauses.
Mm.
I looked into the premise of the TV show.
What is it? I don't think I've ever
He's
seen
finally retiring as
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
it. Who's taking over?
He
But-
comes back though as Santa Claus
Because they don't show who he gives the mantle to, but apparently it's a terrible person that he didn't interview properly.
Can I ruin
Bullshit.
it for you and tell you who he gives it to?
Do you want to ruin it after we do the second one? That way there's like, or do you just want to
I'll wait till after because it does tie into the second movie.
Ooh, okay, cool.
I'll wait till
Great.
after because it answers one of my biggest questions that I had with the second movie. But we'll get into it
Does he
later.
give it to Judge Reinhold? Neil's like, well,
A nice sweater.
I mean, I give everybody
Just
sweaters.
turns into a Seinfeld character, which is all up in the air.
All right, so Santa Claus 2.
Yeah, it's $65 million budget and only made $172.9 million in the box office. Cinema score A+.
What?
Better than the first one?
No.
Yep.
Get out
Has
of
a
here.
Better cinema score.
That's a
than Santa
lie.
Claus.
How?
No, yeah, people enjoyed it more. I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning was. I didn't look into all that. I just found that out just going through.
It's definitely more Hallmarky.
yes.
Yes.
It's very more. It doesn't have those adult things that we're talking about. Right now.
Yeah.
It's like it's a totally different Tim Allen. I feel like, especially acting wise in the film. Even when he's turning back, he's still very jolly. You know.
Yeah.
I was hoping when he was turning
He'd get
back
more
that he would
snarky.
get
Yeah.
back to being the snarky Tim Allen that he was in the first one, but we don't get that.
I feel like if like the first Santa Claus 2, that sounded weird, the original Santa Claus came out now, I almost feel like it would be more receptive just because of like the snarky humor, because I feel like that's something that's very in right now, especially with like kid meets adult movie kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, you have those snarky remarks that only adults would make, but then like for kids, like they like the, you know, like Elf was a great
Yes.
example of like how you get kind of both the adult and the kid humor. So but that's astounding to me that the second one did better when
Cinema
there's
score
so many things wrong with
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
The audience loved it more. I mean, it's not that
I can't
crazy of a
imagine
gap,
that.
but it's a gap. It's enough to be like, okay, like I prefer. Obviously, we'll get into it, but like, there's a preference to me at least. I
think
wouldn't
for
give
all
it
of
that
us.
cinema score now. I wonder if they were to re-release it now, what it would be, because I have a hard time giving it that high of a grade.
Yeah, those reindeer are terrifying.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about terrifying? Talk about the freaking Easter Bunny.
Oh, the
That
Easter Bunny was
is
terrifying.
So scary. Between that and plastic Tim Allen, I don't know
Oh,
what was
toy
more
Santa?
terrifying. Yeah, toy.
I don't know. I thought like Chet was just awful and not great at all. Terrifying.
He just speaks reindeer now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do the
understands
do
the
the reindeer
reindeer.
really need to talk or do whatever the gibberish
think they
is? Like,
just-
like I feel like they could have just made like this like look or face of like, don't give me that
'cause the
look,
first
and
one
then
had
you're
that.
good.
Yeah, the first one had little
like he
grunts,
could have
but
just
like
yeah.
little side eyes here and
That's
there.
totally
but, like,
fine, but
full
like
dialogue.
and the Chet, like the Phil and Lil, like "Ee!" like
Yeah, I was
ugh.
like,
I was wondering the whole
So
time, I was like,
unnecessary.
why does this remind me of Rugrats? And
It's
it's
'cause
Phil
it's
and
It's
Lil.
Phil and Lil.
Yeah.
It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
No,
I
it didn't need to be added at all.
I feel like there was a lot of plot issues with this movie. Like, there's like 3 half-ass plots
Yes.
instead of it being like one good one or 2 decent ones. They tried to shove as much as they could,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the very end, it just kind of all half-ass comes together.
Yeah.
Like it all just it just happens.
Yeah, like we talked about, like they could have easily done without like the why did Santa have to be like if there was only 27 days left until Christmas, why did Santa really have to be there? Why did they have to make like a clone of him? Which like doing the whole like evil twin / clone of you trope, and then like you could have completely taken all of that out and just like I feel like Charlie being on the naughty list alone is like
enough
a
story.
main plot point, or even just having like the marriage thing. Because I mean, yeah, like Mrs. Claus is a huge deal, especially like if you're just finding it out. But you know, like what was the time frame on him getting a Mrs. Claus? When were they going to tell him? Like,
that was the biggest issue. I looked at her and I was just like, they waited like what 8 years? I don't know what the gap is.
I don't know what the time
years.
is. Oh, is it 8 years? Is it
To
8
just
years?
be like,
Well, yeah,
by the
'cause
way,
Charlie's obviously bigger.
You didn't read
Yes.
the whole thing. Like, there's more in the
and the card's
the
different.
card. Yeah, and I'm like, but why did you guys just wait then? That's a big like if it would have happened immediately after, and obviously it took them a while to make 16 people worked on this movie.
Yeah, it was
Like,
there's like
to get-
there's like 6 writers.
Yeah, to
on
get
it,
off
too.
the ground. At one
Oh.
point, Tim Allen's like, it's taking too long. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
at
that
all.
seems like it's messy.
Yeah, so by the time they got to do it, like there was just that giant gap. And I think they said, just fuck it, we'll just go with it. But then the audience is gonna have those questions, being like, well, why? And there's really no like explanation whatsoever. And even when they do get married, it's very rushed as well. It's like third act happens, Toy Santa gets defeated, and it's like, well, now I'm in love with you. We have to get married. We have to do it now. It's like, oh, okay. And then
Oh, okay,
problem
I guess,
solved.
yeah.
And now you're Santa again. Now Charlie's back with you. And now they take off. Movie's over. And you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like,
fuck.
like I know it's like once again we're going into like this make believe like world land idea, and I'm always gonna have a problem like when we get into like rom-coms and stuff like that of people falling in love in like 20 days and being like let's get married, and then like 20 years later they're like, oh my god, the honeymoon phase is worn off and now I hate you. Just like I wonder how like that go. I mean, unless the idea of like the true love thing like is, you know, like kind of a real thing and yada yada yada. Not gonna say that that's not true or anything, but
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing with both of these movies was how I didn't realize until we watched it again that it's like it takes place over like a year.
Yeah, I did not realize that either.
yeah,
Because I was like, wait a minute, he's just going back out again. And they don't even mention that it's like a year of time
A year
passing.
later, yeah.
Just because they just show little snippets, like
Yeah.
Charlie's soccer game, this is happening. And
like
then
oh
how,
it's springtime.
yeah, and then how long were they like courting each other? Was it one night?
But that's what it
Him and
felt
the
like.
prince-
That's what it felt. Yeah,
But
because
then
he
I
like
think it's
came
like
out.
more days because they're like, oh yeah, Christmas is here now. And it's like, wait, it was just 27.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done a better job fleshing that
Yes.
out, and if they did, I feel like that would have made more sense. Of like, okay, like I could see two people at least making the decision, like maybe not the greatest decision, but making the decision to be like, we've been together a year, like let's get married. Like still seems a little sudden, but like it's not as ridiculous as like 27 days. So, and maybe that's the case, but like they just didn't express that very well through the movie of like maybe he has known the principal for the whole year and just now they're like, you know, falling
It
in
did
love.
say that he knows her because he does come back whenever Charlie misbehaves or anything in school. He will make appearances and comes back, but it was assumed like from what we see as their first interaction on screen that she doesn't like him.
Which she blames him for not. She
Yeah, she
pretty much
blames
says
him
like
for not being
he's
around.
acting out because of an absentee parent, and they blame it on him.
Yeah,
Because he's
which
not
I
there
mean,
enough. Which yeah.
But when that happened, we were like, well, yeah, well, maybe he would do that. It wouldn't do it if you were here more. And then we both looked at each other like, oh, listen here, bitch. Don't tell me how to
Well, yeah,
raise
and
my
then like
fucking
I
kid.
made the
yeah.
argument too, where like she's so like when you first meet her, she's like cold, heartless, calculated, like not a smile in the room, and then like as soon as he's like really back in the real world, she's like a giddy schoolgirl, and like everything's
Yes,
fine. Like
yeah.
what you just needed a horse like carriage, and then that was what it took
The
to like
snow.
unlock the key. Yeah, like. Just
There's a
and like
little
the
bit of
well, and
magic.
also like the believability of like the whole scene with like the Secret Santa, like how does she not have more of a problem with like him knowing all of these things?
No, yeah, because then the next scene they're just at her house. like he
Yeah, and
stopped.
she's like, on the couch.
Yeah,
and
oh
she's
my
like,
God.
That's why
yeah,
I was
she's
like, well, is
And
it
then
the
he-
same night?
and then even when he's trying to tell her, he's like, "You're just afraid of commitment. Get out, get out." And I'm like, "What is happening
Yeah,
right
there's
now,
so
dude?" I'm
much
like,
weird-
And you're like rushing like every aspect of this relationship in like a night. It feels like just the way it's directed, and it's just like it's annoying as shit, dude.
Even she's like, well, we don't have to rush that, Scott. Get out of my house.
Get out, yeah.
From to 11.
Oh yeah. I will say, the mom's haircut way better in this one.
Yes,
I did
I agree.
recognize
So much
her.
better.
I asked
So much
Joseph,
better.
I was like, oh, okay, so Neil came back. Same actor came back to play Neil. I was like, is that the same actress that played the mom? And then she spoke. I'm like, yeah, that's her.
And her hair looks so much better. She looks younger,
She does.
and I'm about it.
Sometimes a flattering haircut will do that for you.
Oh, I know. God, I need a haircut.
Same.
Yes, we
Same.
all need haircuts. We all need haircuts. We all need
All
haircuts.
four of us.
Can we also talk about, so I was like, since we're talking about the mom, Judge Reinhold and his like, now that he's like, they kind of broke the barrier of him, like his like childish glee that kind of comes through.
Yes.
Like, I love it. Just,
Yeah, like where they're trying to get the tooth out, and he's like,
he's like,
this
yeah, the old, the old toaster straight. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
He's so excited. And I don't know if it's like, for me, it was part excitement of like, oh yeah, this is like nostalgic and like kid like for me versus like he gets to bring pain to like his wife's ex-husband kind of
I
thing.
think it's a mix of both.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue, but Judge Reinhold is great. Not in great movies, but he's.
He's in great movies. What are you talking about?
Okay, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this. I'm gonna get.
Okay.
I know
I'm
which
gonna
movie
get a
you're
lot
gonna
of heat
say.
for this.
Richmond High.
I do. Okay, I don't hate it. Don't hate it. I am not a big fan. I understand that it's of its time, and we'll get into. I mean, well, we can't really get into it because there's no sequel.
There's no time.
We'll get into it after.
My little time slot, just like put this little like timer for Marissa. My like 5 to 10 second like time spot.
10 seconds go now.
I appreciate it that it's like of its time and it totally means a lot for that time frame. But if you rewatch it now, terrible, horrible, just like does not make sense, very inappropriate. Phoebe Cates is hot.
And that's your time, yeah.
That's
that
my
was
time.
That was probably perfect.
Yeah, that worked.
Check tape on that one later.
You can. I still love Judge Reinhold though. Gremlins.
Yes.
For all of the 2 seconds that he is in Gremlins, yeah. Beverly Hills Cop.
I haven't seen any of those, so I can't
I
speak
haven't
on that.
either.
But we're eventually going to do. Yeah, eventually going to do those.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's right. He is in Seinfeld.
He's great.
I
the
have
sweaters.
2 fun facts for this movie. The first one is so this movie has a lot of hidden Mickeys, and like how the first one had a note.
So the first one. That
So did
one
the
hidden
first
Mickey
one.
in the moon.
Yeah, this one had a couple of hidden Mickeys and
I'm sorry.
what's that word? Notes
Coco.
to Tim Allen. Are you okay?
I think it was me. I broke Joseph.
Did you do?
No, I didn't.
Was it me? Okay. Sorry.
What did you do? I missed it.
Sorry.
I took a drink. I'm sorry.
Continue to cook. My bad. I got thrown off.
Well, we're keeping that in.
Yeah, we are.
Sorry. Get back to your.
This one's
So-
going to be a nightmare to edit, probably.
So sorry. I'm so sorry.
So the first one is Toy Santa. So Toy Tim Allen says the line, "You are a sad, strange little man," which Tim Allen also uses as Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story that came out, I think, a few years before this one, right?
1997.
6 or
I believe
7.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 or 7. Watch, it's gonna be like 8.
Close
Late
enough.
90s.
Fuck you guys. Look at it.
Late
You know, you just,
90s.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't say.
No, I know.
And then I appreciated the Kim Possible poster in Lucy's bedroom.
I don't think I even noted that.
Oh, I did. And then
She is Kim Possible. That red hair.
she is basically
Girl.
Kim Possible. And then there's a couple of other hidden Mickeys, like you see like the elves in the little Santa's workshop. There's like a couple of like hit Mickey Mouse dolls like in the corner.
Those are terrifying Mickeys too.
Yeah, there was one that was like a Steamboat Willie.
Yeah,
that
they
you
look
could
like
see
old
in the-
timey.
yeah,
Yeah, they look like
background.
old timey.
Toy Story 95.
1995.
Oh, 95. So we were not so close. Sorry,
Oh my
guys.
god, I'm such an idiot. It's literally right.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Read your notes, kids.
Jamie looked that up.
Damn, 94. So 94.
So
Santa
a year
Claus
later,
and
he
that-
did Toy
damn.
Story.
Flushed in
It's a
cash.
good year to be Tim Allen.
Flushed with
Cocaine.
money, please.
Oh god. But yeah, those are my fun facts
Yeah, no.
for the movie.
Yeah, those are. Yeah, I noticed that too. I also like in the first one that they like sprinkle elves throughout the movie, like in random places, like
Yeah.
in the classroom. When they're when they're coming in the Denny's, there's like an elf that puts on a coat and leaves, and then while he's talking to the kids, they're all in line, shit like that. I like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Done with probably the first one actually. Never mind. My bad. I should have saved it for the first one.
Go ahead,
The
hit us with
fucking
it.
the ones with the jetpack and shit, and they're doing all those like
Oh,
aerobatic
yeah.
Oh,
things.
I didn't mind like the one kid. I kind of wanted more from him. Like I almost wish they would have
The leader?
replaced. Yeah, the lead, the one that talked. I almost wish that they would have replaced him and gave him more of a part in this one than they would have with the Breslin brother.
Spencer.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel like
homeboy
his
from
character.
Cat Hat.
I feel like his character was totally useless.
Oh, I hated him.
Like, just you could have completely taken him out, and like you could have given all of that to Bernard. Like Bernard could have been like, Santa, we overlooked something from last time. Like, look at here, and done that whole scene and been like, you're supposed to get married. Like,
Yeah.
we completely missed it, and then it would have still been the same story, and then you wouldn't have had to pay Spencer Breslin.
Yeah, that's true. That
So-
only was like, tell him. It's like, why does nobody tell him?
Yeah,
Why they
like,
wait-
Your
Because
job.
they,
You gotta
because they
do it.
probably forgot. They
Yeah.
waited for so long, and now it's a thing.
Yeah.
he's sitting there in the sleigh, just rocking out to the fucking
Yeah, I'm like,
Santa thing.
So the reason, one of the reasons that annoyed me with this one is the whole marriage premise in this movie. So if you, in order to be Santa or to stay being Santa, you need to have a wife, right?
mhm.
So the Santa that died in the first one, is nobody gonna tell his wife?
Yeah, no,
that,
he,
like,
Ryan
Santa-
mentioned that
like
too.
That was my
how
first
do they
question.
address the Mrs. Claus?
Well, especially when he dies, what happens to him? Does he go back to his old life or just?
No,
She had
Does
a
he
good-
die?
he died.
That's
He
my
falls off a
theory.
roof because he's not married?
No,
No, but you had a good theory when you said, because in the card it says not valid in Utah.
Mhm.
Oh
So
yeah, I
she
said
just
what if
kinda
he's
wrote it
from
off like,
yeah,
what
I
if
said
he's just from
because it
Utah?
said it says not valid in the state of Utah,
Oh,
and I was
okay.
like, well, what if the other Santa was from Utah, or he had a Mrs. Claus and she died?
They just vanish. They just
Yeah,
kind of
because
just
he's getting
passes
old.
over,
Yeah, I was
talk-
like, I don't. Yeah,
Especially for magical dude, you think he'd be able to save himself from falling. But whatever, again,
You
it's
know,
our
whatever.
movies for children.
yeah, he could have
that
just
we're
grabbed the
trying to-
bag,
yes.
and then he would have just whatever. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We're thinking
We're
too.
thinking
We're
more
digging,
like-
the elves
digging
really
too
helped
much
Tim
realistic.
Allen with it though,
They did.
because
Yeah.
they were like, oh, and not falling off the roof stuff, like here, oh yeah, and like chimneys, oh yeah,
We
well,
decked
can
out your
fire suit.
sleigh. Like, what about the other
Yeah.
Santa?
yeah, they
Good
didn't
shit.
care about this Santa. They didn't care about the last Santa who
No.
died. They were just like, eh.
No,
Maybe they-
I
maybe
would
they
love to
didn't like
know
him. Yeah,
more
maybe
about
they
the
didn't like
other
him.
Santa. Just because I'm like, how that, like,
You can see it too because there's other Santas and paintings, like the past Santas.
Yeah.
And then like in the city, they have like banners up of like past Santas and stuff too. Apparently.
a lot of questions.
Yeah, not a
that-
lot of answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also,
I know I mentioned this earlier, but all the questions that we bring up about the first movie and this one, it's all randomly answered in the TV show. So they address the whole Mrs. Claus issue, and that the reason why. So I didn't watch. I just watched the trailer for season 1 and season 2 and just read a little bit about it. And the reason why they said why Tim Allen needed a wife, a Mrs. Claus, is that he is the first mortal to be Santa Claus, which then makes me think, what the hell is Santa Claus then before Tim
And if he's
Allen
not
becomes?
mortal, then how to just
How'd he
falling off
die?
a roof? Yeah.
That's
so many
my
questions.
question.
Mortality. Yeah,
It's
they
that,
just
and then
contradicted.
More
the
questions.
You know how we watched the first trailer? The person who comes after takes over for him being Santa is Fluffy's in season 2.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert: Fluffy becomes Santa in season 2.
That makes sense.
Fluffy
the comedian, yeah.
The comedian, yeah.
Fluffy the
Fluffy,
comedian. Gabriel Iglesias.
Gabriel
yeah.
Iglesias, yeah.
Eh?
Get out.
And then in the season 1, what's his name?
We just said the movie too, Harold Kumar.
Kumar becomes Santa in the season 1.
How interesting.
But
Funny.
the supposed villain in the first one, who Tim Allen passes his mantle to, is an ex Mrs. Claus. So she takes. So I don't know
Wait.
if it's because it's not his ex. They're still married in the Santa Claus, but an ex Mrs. Claus to a previous Santa is now the villain in the TV show. I will leave it at that. That's what I read. I don't know how accurate it is, but that's where the TV show went.
Sure.
I'm gonna stick to 2.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick
Say
to
that.
2.
I just needed to
Oy.
mention
We're gonna
that.
stick to 2.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
In this movie, we get other mystical creatures or
Yes.
beings, or we get Mother Nature, Father Time, the Easter Bunny. I know we
Fairy.
mentioned, yeah, I never we
Um,
mentioned,
Molinator.
yeah, the Molinator.
Valentine's Day.
Cupid.
Yeah.
Cupid.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem with this. I like this idea. I feel like they've done a lot of movies on, like, especially the Tooth Fairy. Like, even one of my favorite movies as a kid is, I think it's called The Tooth Fairy.
Is it the Rock's Tooth Fairy?
No, it is the one before that. It
Oh,
is
the Kirstie Allen
Kirstie
one?
Alley one, which you can randomly watch on YouTube.
The full movie.
It's a full, yeah, the full movie. You can watch it. It's great. It's
we
like
did.
she gets in just like a brief little 10 spot. She gets into a car accident. She becomes a tooth fairy, and then that's like her limbo. And in order to like get out of the limbo, she has to do a bunch of stuff. It's really great. It's a great show. But anyway, getting back to the mythical, magical creatures that we get in this movie, I really like it. I don't have a problem with it. I like that the Tooth Fairy kind of comes back and ends up helping them out. I think that's a good way to kind of lead him into it. I like that he kind of has his back in terms of trying to be nice to him, and that gives him a reason to help him in a way.
I agree with you. I didn't mind. I think they called themselves the Council of Legendary Figures in the movie. I didn't really mind them.
Yeah, that's fine. I do have a question though. It led me to this question, which is like, how much money did you guys get when you lost your teeth?
Got a game.
Got a game?
Yeah, I used to get a game.
Like a board game? Like they
No,
put a
like
whole
video
twister
games,
underneath your pillow?
like PlayStation 2 or Game Boy Advance games. Yeah. Yes, I was spoiled once.
Yes, I was delicious.
In my family, and like my extended family too, I was the only granddaughter and the only girl in the family, so I got really spoiled every time I lost a tooth, that like my parents and like my aunts and uncles will put money under my pillow. So I was racking in cash as a kid that I spent all on candy.
So ballpark price point. Like, are we talking like $5 a tooth?
I was probably like at least $100 to $200 for every tooth I lost.
What?
God damn.
It was all spent the next day. So
As a child, you spent $200?
toys and candy.
Dude, holy right? I'm
had-
not even gonna.
I had a shopping addiction even as a child. So
Jesus.
Damn.
All right, Ryan.
I think I got like $1.
I think I got
so.
like $5 for like
I
the
got, like,
first tooth.
$5,
You know?
maybe every once in a while.
No,
I
I
didn't
think I
get,
got
like-
I got like $5 for the first tooth of like, good job, you lost your first tooth, and then yeah, that's wild.
granted,
Sorry.
my family only did it for like the first like 4 or 5, and they're like, all right, you're done.
That's wild.
What did we think about Charlie's reasoning for being upset?
I thought it was dumb. That he was that why he was like acting out and everything. I understand your dad's not there and you can't talk about what your dad does. But I thought it was a stupid reason to be upset. Like, why can't you be upset that your dad's not here? Why do you have to be like, I can't tell my friends what you do for a living. That's why I'm acting out.
I thought it was because the teacher didn't like do Christmas
Didn't like
stuff,
Christmas.
and he
That's
was,
what I
like,
thought
all
it was
about
for, which is
Christmas.
still a dumb reason. Yeah.
He says at one point, the burden of keeping your secret. And I'm like, brother, your dad's there. Like, yeah, he goes away to be Santa. Like,
Well, who what are all these high school kids that are like, what's your dad do?
yeah, well, I don't know.
Mind
What,
your
what do you
fucking
mean,
business.
you nerd?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, really,
off.
dude?
Sure, dad got a 401k.
Also, he doesn't seem like a nerd in the movie. He seems like a little jackass the whole time. He's just vandalizing property, graffiti, like messing with the principal. Like, it doesn't seem like he's getting bullied. He just seems like he's just a little jackass the whole
Yeah.
Yeah.
time.
I
Well,
thought
and
he did it all for a girl at first.
That's what they
And
kind of
then
start off
when he
with,
got
and
his
then
fight.
when he gets to the fight with Tim Allen, it's like, let the burden of keeping your secret. I can't tell my friends like what you do, and like you're never here, and stuff like that. But it's like he's there. He's not all the time, but
Shake the globe, ass.
Yeah, shake the globe and he shows up.
That's a great point, Ryan. So you got the globe for a reason, buddy.
that annoyed me big time. That whole scene with him. I'm like, I just this is not.
Well, that
working
in
for me,
like,
dude. I'm like,
even if he is gone, like during the year, working at the workshop or doing whatever he does, like, does Charlie not get summer off? Could he not go see
Visit
his
him?
dad
Yeah.
or like do stuff?
and it's never like acknowledged or made seem like he doesn't see him. Like he makes a note that like, yeah, just like my few times I've been down here to the school to talk to this principal.
Yeah.
It's like, so he's there. It's like he makes it seem like now I just completely forgot about him and just fully became Santa Claus. Like, I can't worry about you, kid. If that was the story, it's like, you don't worry about me. You worry about all the other kids in the world. What about me, Dad? Maybe I could buy into that a little bit more
Yeah.
than being like, the burden of keeping your secret and not telling people what your career is.
Yeah, like him being like, I have to share you with all
But
the other kids.
that's a
kinda
better
thing.
argument. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
not being the burden of what he does in his
Keeping your
career.
secret.
Yeah, that lost me big time. I'm like, because I thought that's where it was gonna go, and then when it didn't, I was like, this little shit. I'm like,
I've been saying it. Charlie's a little shit.
Charlie's a little shit.
Yeah, but you
dude.
could kind of give him a pass being like a 6-year-old. Like now that he's a teenager, you're like, all
He
right.
was a little shit then. He's a little shit now.
I agree with Ryan. I didn't like him at all.
I liked him in the first one.
I didn't. He was cute in the first one.
But now looking
in
back,
Dunstan.
to the first one after watching the second one, I'm like, nah, this kid's a douche. I'm like,
Little fucking
he's a
douchebag.
little douche. It's like I hate
Little
going to
fucking
dad's.
asshole.
Dad's Santa now. I love dad.
Yeah, I love dad now.
Now he hates dad.
Oh, you're not being Santa anymore? Oh, I hate you, Dad. Well, he's going to have more time to hang
Well,
out
I
with
can't
you.
go with you in the sleigh. Well, fuck you, dad. Like your dad's there, man. My dad wanted to go get milk and never came. I'm just kidding.
Took it to a dark place. Just we kept the darkness in one. Keeping the darkness. Shout out to all the Buffalonians.
Oh, yeah.
The what?
The Buffalonians.
the Buffletonians.
That's what when they come
The
into
Buffalites?
the real what's his name? I always forget. I keep forgetting his
Whatever,
name.
fucking Little Miss Sunshine's brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
When he's like, "We're from Buffalo," and he's like, "We're from Buffalo," and I'm just like,
Okay,
"Yeah."
I see
Shout
what
out
you
to
did there.
the Buffalonians.
Yeah.
Comet eating all the candy was disturbing. Just a big old
Oh my
fucking.
Yeah,
God. I'm
dude.
like,
Oh, how is he not dead?
yeah, I'm like,
Like,
Yeah, the
why not shed himself to death? Like,
Oh,
come on,
yeah.
dude.
That at the very least, that Comet's got diabetes. That's the sugar hoof.
see, every time we talk about the reindeer, I just think of Chet, and I just, oh god, I literally like put like we hate Chet and like underlined. Like I just very much could do without.
And that's how the movie ends, with Chet just making his noises.
Yeah, just like,
oh,
I
man.
hate
All right.
it. I hate
Just
it.
terrible
so
third
much.
act, terrible finish. I'm just like, it's a rough time. We get
Yeah,
into
those
the rating
reindeer
production.
are they're so terrifying. I just can't. I can't get over it. They do have another cute kid though in this movie, Lucy, which is the little girl, the step
Half sister
sister.
of Charlie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
step
Sister, yeah.
sister. No, not step sister. Half sister.
Half-sister.
Yeah, half sister. Yeah, half sister. I think she's so cute, and I love her reaction when they finally tell her that that
That he's
Tim
Santa.
Allen is Santa, where she's just like what? Like I knew it, blah 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 blah, and then her just like turn around of like, do I still get toys? Like it's such a kid
Yep.
reaction. Like I just thought that everything that like I thought the acting was great on her part. I
Yep.
think she was super cute and very believable. Them playing cards is very cute as well. Which like if she has that relationship with like someone who's not even like her dad or her stepdad and like it calls him Uncle Scott kind of thing, I feel like that also attributes to the fact that he is around
Yeah,
like
that's the
so
thing.
much.
That's
so like
where that argument.
yeah. So
fell
well,
apart
no,
for me.
but then I would argue then too, like okay, you could have gone with the whole like I have to share you now with like Lucy
Yes,
and like
yeah.
everybody else. So
You're
like I feel like
everybody's dad almost, like,
exactly.
yeah.
Which like yes, he is because Home Improvement.
I also felt like she had a better relationship with Scott than she did her own father, but that's probably because you don't really
Well,
see
Neil's
her
not
and
really
Neil
there. Yeah,
interact that
you see
much
Neil
together.
like what a handful of times in this movie.
That's because Neil's not really
Yeah.
human.
Yeah, well, Neil was only excited when he got the truth out.
Neil is a droid sent to listen to all of your emotions and tell you what you're secretly buried deep and down on the inside.
Yeah.
We love Neil.
Should I rate this bad boy?
Sure.
In the best way we possibly can.
I mean,
we just shit on
I
it.
might have
20 minutes.
another question for us.
Oh,
Oh, go
no,
for
go
it.
for
Oh,
it.
let's
Yeah,
hear it.
go for
No,
it.
no.
Well, after?
After we rate it,
Okay.
just as like a fun little thing, and then we can, do our thing.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Who wants to take the mantle of reviewing this glorious piece of movie?
Yeah, 2.5. Not as much of a
Shot
fan
in
of
the
this
dark.
one. Yeah, the plots just kind of are there. Yeah, I'm not. Nah, it's whatever. 2.5. I'll leave it at that.
Joseph.
2.5 as well. I've written it down. I'm like, it's rough. Tim Allen's not really in his prime anymore. It's not as funny as he was in the first one. The Easter Bunny's terrifying. Charlie's a little shit. The story's wonky. So many more questions than I even had with the first one. Toy Santa got on my nerves at some point. So I'm just like, I don't know. I just had a hard time watching this one. I got very bored during some moments of this film. I even picked up my phone multiple times while watching this one because
Ooh,
pulled the Mooney.
it bored
Pulled
me,
the
man.
Mooney.
Especially the whole sleigh scene between Tim Allen and his love interest. I couldn't get into it. It was very hard. The whole Christmas party thing too just bored me to death. But so yeah,
It's
2.5.
creepy.
Yeah.
It's creepy. Like, how did he know? Like, from a realistic standpoint, like I know it's whimsy, but like,
He's Santa.
how would he get all the information?
she-
Well, no, but from her perspective,
She even asked, like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
would
Oh,
he
yeah.
get that
She's
information?
like, I just told you about this toy.
That's what I'm
How
saying.
did you get it?
How would you get it? Yeah. Like,
And then when he tries to
creepy.
explain it, it's like you're just scared of a commitment. Get out. It's like that stuff like that angered me throughout
There-
the
yeah.
film. That's why I'm at
the
2.5.
twists and the
Yeah.
ups and downs.
thought this movie.
Higher than Alien.
Still higher than Aliens.
I thought this movie honestly terrified me. I could not get over the plastic toy Tim Allen Santa thing.
It's uncanny. That's what it is. It's in that uncanny.
It's
Yeah.
so smooth.
It kind of disturbed me as much as the baby in Son of the Masked Moon, the one we talked about. Like that's how
Yes.
disturbed I was watching it. The rabbit was disturbing too, but I got over it because you never really saw him back again.
Thank God.
Seriously, I appreciate them introducing more of like the lore of like other like mythical the council
creatures?
people. Yeah.
Shout out Aisha Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
she's. Well, we like her too.
I did not feel or sense like any chemistry between Scott and Principal Lady. I didn't really believe it. I forgot her name. Future Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, there you go.
And also
Isn't it Carol?
Carol.
Yeah,
yes,
it's Carol.
And also when he proposed to her and he's like, "You've known me your whole life," I was like, "Okay, it's creepy." Like you.
Well,
just
that and
met-
like the elf is feeding him lines
I
like
would just be
behind
like-
her.
and he's like, "I got this," and just like
she has a
goes-
little attitude when she tells Judy, like,
Judy?
I got it from ears. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
I was like, bitch, you just helped him.
she just makes good hot cocoa.
That's not even Judy either.
Yeah, it's a different.
That's a
elf.
different elf.
Oh, it's not Judy.
Yeah, it's not Judy.
I thought it was Judy this whole time.
It looks
like
like
Abby
Judy.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they name it something
But
another
she has
Y.
that like old school, like I'm a 75-year-old secretary vibe, which is, I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Tim Allen again, as Scott Calvin, was the only saving grace in this movie for me. I didn't really care for anything else. 1.5 out of 5 poppies for
Yeah.
me. So lower
Yeah.
than Aliens. If anyone is keeping track of everything,
happy
it's
with
lower
that,
than
yeah.
Aliens.
you're gonna throw your hat.
I know. I'm done. This thing sucks. Oh, I totally forgot. I totally forgot to throw this in there. Just as a fun little side tidbit, since I know Mooney was talking about like the hidden Mickeys and stuff. When they show the scene of all the elves making the toys, there is a very famous Jack in the Box in the toy shop, and it is actually from Elf, which was came out a year later. That scary Jack in the Box that he messes with. I just noticed. I was like, I know that. Why not reuse it? There you go. Overall, I'm going to give this a 2. I don't think it's like, I mean, yeah, we pretty much shat on it the entire
It's not
time
great.
we were talking about it. It's not great. Definitely a lot of like questions that we have, probably more than we had in the first one. But I would definitely say that, I don't know, it gives me kind of like, even like the scene, like I know Joseph said he didn't really care for it, but like the scene where they're in the sled, I feel like if you took certain scenes out of this movie or certain aspects out of this movie and then fleshed them out into other Christmas movies, you've got like a great Hallmark movie. You know, like if you really had like a, you know, boy deals with dad being away because he's Santa Claus, totally a movie right there alone, without all the nonsense of like talking reindeers and everything like that. That's a great heartfelt movie of like, how can they, you know, like how can we come to a conclusion where like I see my dad more and he's still Santa Claus. Great premise for a movie kind of thing. And I think that we get that later on with like movies of Santa and like the brothers become Santa or the son takes over for the family business kind of thing. And I love that even like, what is it? Lucy ends up like, I'm going to go into the family business as well. Like, not your family, but okay.
Fuck you, Neil.
Yeah, nobody wants to be a therapist, Neil.
I mean, Dad.
But overall, you know, like I still like there's certain characters that like I don't mind seeing, like as much as like I think Tim Allen is very inappropriate. Like he's a fun little sarcastic-y little prick. But yeah, I'll say overall 2. So Ryan, I think you
Dessert.
had
What's your
No, I'm
question?
gonna save it.
Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, nah, I'm gonna save it for later, for a better time.
keep the suspense alive. Now I'm gonna pester you for it.
Well, it'll be when next Christmas, or when we start doing the Christmas stuff.
Oh, it was like a year from now.
Yes.
Is this gonna be a clause?
No. Oh yeah, it's gonna be the question
Not
clause.
knowing this question is a burden in my life now.
When is the
You're
burden
gonna
now?
burn Santa?
Yeah, I'm gonna burn you for.
Joseph's
for-
gonna start spray painting our walls now.
It's a secret that he's gonna have to keep.
I did it for you. Just bring some milk and
Why
we're
don't
good.
you love me?
All right.
Your whole life.
With that said, I think we're all done here talking about the Santa Claus. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, check out our Instagram, and happy holidays.
Ho, ho, ho.
Bye.
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 Thanks for listening. Until next time, the podcast, a show so sublime. Marissa, Mooney, Joseph, and Ryan signing off with glee. Join us next episode for more sequel revelry.